So, I guess for starters, how did you first discover mashups and who's your favorite mashup producer?
I would say I discovered Mashups probably 15 years ago. There used to be a website called, believe it or not, DJ008. There's no way that it's still around. I don't remember what mashup, but when I heard it, it's one of those things that changes. You go, oh, this is what I'm going to pursue. So, and yeah, I'm not going to be giving names out.
Well, okay, in that case, what was one of the first mashup producers that really got you hooked into mashups?
I'm going to say DJBC and that whole crew. There used to be a really popular forum site called Jibo. All those regulars there were really good.
So let's continue into the bat. What led to the creation of Matchsticks.com?
I'm a web developer, so I don't participate in mashup making myself, and I still wanted to contribute to the community. And I thought it would be also a good way to improve development skills. So I made a mashup site, and it was terrible in the beginning. It was just me voting mashups. I'm sure you could way back time machine it. And then people started emailing me and being more interested and came up with this idea of having a moderation team. And that's where we are today.
Yeah, because earlier you mentioned about some of the changes. So I was curious as to like what made you want to change the site from sort of like because I remember when I first got into Matchsticks.com, it was kind of like a forum based format. You know, like you'd have the section where you can submit tracks, you could submit albums, you can have discussions, share stems, stuff like that. So what made you change the site from that sort of forum based format to more of like a track submission front page type site that it is now?
Well, I would say first the forum was third party and it had a lot of viruses. We even had a Bitcoin miner somebody uploaded. So, it was a struggle keeping anything. Like I didn't write the code. I had no idea what was going on. Also, I thought it was kind of cumbersome to submit mashups and also even more cumbersome for the moderating team to evaluate things on a forum. For example, like there's two moderators are required to front page a mashup. It used to be if you were the first moderator, you would have to edit the topic, put in an exclamation point into the topic name, and that's how everyone knew one mod recommended, which is crazy. So I just decided let's throw the whole site out. I still have the old site as a backup. Just if I'll probably upload it somewhere, but I don't want to upload it on my servers because there's viruses on it. I just thought it'd be much easier, more automated to start from scratch. Now you have a little tick box in the comments section. If you like a track, you could explain why or why not. And really, that's where it starts.
So, like, obviously you've been doing this for quite some time now. What would you say has been some of the challenges that you've faced with running Matchsticks?
Like managing the moderator team. So many different personalities. Like you should see some of these emails I get. It's red or blue, black, white. There's never a consensus. So it's interesting in that way. And I think there's a lot of trolling going on nowadays on Facebook and Twitter. For example, I'll just use what's hot right now, like Bitcoin and crypto. I could say crypto sucks or Bitcoin sucks, and you might just take that and pass it along without doing any research and saying, yeah, crypto sucks. But I think you have to have reasons why something is bad or good, and that's what I don't understand. And oddly enough, when I reach out or people reach out to me when they have an issue or a certain perception of the site, it changes instantly. They go, "Oh, I didn't know. I thought you were like a bad guy or something, or you had some clicks with some DJs." And I, I just want everyone to get along. I'm not associated with any site, just like I don't think anyone else should be either. It's crazy. So we like the mashup scene. That's why we're all here.
Definitely, absolutely, and I definitely appreciate the sort of community-based element that it brings together. So just while we're on the topic, just because it's a great opportunity for you as the owner of the site to clear up any sort of debunking the myths, as you will. So what are some of the misconceptions or the misunderstandings that many people have had about Matchsticks and the way that it operates?
Back to the like click or posse, there is no click or posse. Yes, I do talk to a bunch of the moderators almost on a daily basis. And then there's some moderators I've talked to twice in my whole life. So, but I don't favor them. Obviously, I have a little bit of favor towards them because they're helping the site out, but they're volunteering their time. You have to understand that. So they should get a little bit of kudos. But that doesn't mean I'm going to front page or anybody else is going to front page a track just because somebody's a moderator. These are also active users that either approached me or I approached them about becoming a moderator. So do you see why some people might think moderators are getting front page more? They're regular users and heavier users.
Yeah, because like I think it was last week on the show I talked about how some of the issues with the way the site works is that because the some of the best tracks that are uploaded are from the moderators and they're good. So obviously they tend to get front page a lot more than bad mashups.
I mean, I agree. I would have to agree. At the same time, I'm not like God or something where I have complete control over other people's minds. Like the nice freedom the moderators do have is you can decide what is a good mashup. I'm not here to go, this is it. This is like, yes, you should try to pick the better ones. I've picked some stinkers, and I will be the first person to admit that I should not be a moderator. It is not something I'm great at.
So just to clear the air, because it was something that had popped up in the discussion early on last week. So because there is well, do you agree that if certain moderators all know each other, could there be a potential for that sort of click based mindset, and could they favor each other's tracks, not necessarily because they're good, but because they're friends? Is that a possibility?
Yes, of course that's a possibility, but I'm not going, like, if you're friends with another mod, I'm not going to be like, why are you guys friends? You shouldn't be friends. This is bad business. No, like, and that's another thing I tell people sometimes too, is not to take it off topic, but the site is free. You don't have to use it if you don't like to. I'm not charging, it doesn't cost you anything. So I think the at its simplest, it's a place to post your mashups and get some sort of a vetting process of reviews through a moderation team. Now, this is my version of it. You're more than welcome to post your mashups in tons of other places, but where's the vetting in all those other places? It's either one person or nothing. It's just a list of submissions.
Like I think I mentioned this to you like on a personal note, but I was wondering, because you had mentioned that the moderation team is and the site overall is expanding, and so to speak, is there like a certain standard that you're now choosing to have in terms of who gets to be a moderator, so that there's not that whole trolling aspect to it?
When I email individual moderators, even people who used to be moderators, everyone's opinion is so different. So it's difficult to know what to do. But there were times in the past where I think it was way too difficult to get front page. So if you show up to a website and you have one track that's front paged in 3 days, like, are you going to visit a lot? No. What if 25 tracks are front page every day? That's too much. You might get overwhelmed. It has to be a balance there somewhere. And also, there is an old school versus new school mentality, definitely. Like, one example is the old schoolers, and these people I'm referring to are people who've been in the scene for 10 plus years. There's a whole group of them. They refer to the new schoolers as like YouTubers or Instagrammers, and they don't like them. I don't know why. I don't have a problem with any of the new artists, but I think if you get a little bit of both and some in between, that's the perfect moderation team. Because, for example, I could I could recommend a track and everybody else goes, what are you doing? This is terrible. It's not front page because I'm only one vote. So other people could start going, no, 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 no. I think you should re-listen to this. And also somebody else has to front or vote and front page. So yeah, if we had 100 moderators, maybe the system would be 5 votes. And we'll get there. It's a progress.
Since we're talking about progress, what would you say is the ultimate goal of Matchsticks? And then, like, once the site is where you want it to be, what will it look and operate like?
It's easy to use. It lots of automation, and it will never reach that 100%. Right? Just this week, somebody was very adamant about like, why can't I edit my comments? And I was like, this is a good point. Let's add that. And we added that, and I'm sure there'll be hundreds of more little fixes like that. But really, there has to be some sort of vetting system in the mashup community. From last time I looked, I mean, it's increasing every day, but there's like hundreds of mashups being made. I don't want to say daily, but let's say every couple days. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like a lot of people may not recognize this as part of the show. I mean, I talk about it a little bit, but yeah, each and every week there are like, depending on what source you use, there are at least 30 to 50 mashups released on a daily. So yeah, it does take a lot of filtering work to kind of pick the cream of the crop, so to speak. And again, that's based on your own personal perspective.
Absolutely. But would it be sort of nicer to be able to go to a place that chose only 2 or 3, and maybe you see a certain moderator that you agree with, and maybe you start looking into his front pages or her front pages. Like, I think that's the way to go, as opposed to this wild, wild west of just constantly post your stuff everywhere. And like it's a lot of like me in the mashup community, unfortunately, where I think the moderators are a mix of me, and also I'll give a little feedback too. Tons of the moderators say they talk to other mashup artists behind the scenes privately. Do you think a lot of these people who are just for hits do that? I don't think so. So I think that's the mentality that has to change. We're all in this together. Let's try to come up with a process to have fewer tracks, but better tracks.
Absolutely. So, like, because you were talking about some of like the recommendations of what needs to be changed in the mashup scene, what are a couple other things that you feel like? What are some of the issues going on now, and what can we do to resolve it?
Number one thing by far is the me thing that's going on. Like, I've seen this so many times. I mean, you've seen it too, and it hasn't changed over the year. I think it's gotten worse actually. Is I will post my track on Facebook, Twitter, Reddit, Matchsticks, whatever other mashup places, and I'll come back in a week and just check what happened. Like, it's so crazy. It must be also annoying posting in so many places with and like the feedback you might get is like, this is cool. Like, okay. No one cares about that. But what if I told you, hey, your outro fades out too early? Like, I think that's meaningful. Which, again, I want to change. I don't want to take it off topic, but what's wrong with having multiple versions of a mashup? Does it have to be the final product when you release it out there? Like, I don't think so. And I don't think there's any shame in having multiple versions, especially based on feedback. And that's another unique thing about Matchsticks, is you can upload various versions.
Yeah, especially like because one thing I've noticed that I like about the multiple version thing is that you can upload, like, say version 1.0, and then you can hear the criticism on how to improve it, and then people release version 0.2, and then there goes the improvement based on suggestions.
Yeah, that's borrowed from web development. That's how web development works too. There's whatever you're seeing is not version 1 whenever it's released on a website. But also that was suggested to me very early on when the site relaunched in November. Somebody said, what about versions? And I said, that's a great idea. And clearly from what I'm seeing, people are using that feature. And as far as I know, no other site has that. So that's what I'm saying. what do you guys want? Let's make it. Another criticism I've heard is like, let's have a forum, which again, I think the site is a form of a forum. But sure, I'll make a forum where people can discuss things. But you already have Facebook and Twitter and all that stuff. I don't know why people need another place to discuss, what kind of car they like.
Yeah, because I know that especially within some of the communities that I'm involved in, Discord is a really great spot because there's all of those different subgroups of hashtags where people can discuss specific things like, oh, I posted a mashup here, stems here, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, perfect. So why reinvent the wheel? If you're on Matchsticks, I don't want to hear anything other than mashup stuff, right? Like one thing that I put into the site that I copied from YouTube is I really like the play history, and I also like to favorite tracks for later. So I made that feature in the back. You could do that. It's stuff like that, how you use things.
Perfect. So, how can like up and coming mashup producers get involved and kind of help Matchsticks grow as a meaningful source for the mashup community?
Again, it's that you have to give a little if you instead of just 100% take. If you and it just this doesn't even mean just on Matchsticks. If you post your mashup wherever, make a comment on a couple other mashups. That really helps things out. I think everyone knows it feels really good when somebody comments. Just because somebody listened to your track, which is cool. So just a little bit of involvement in the community. That's the only way.
Absolutely. So, before we let you go, any last minute message you want to say to the mashup community? Anything you want them to let you know your thoughts on?
Obviously, the moderation team needs to increase in size. And I'm trying to do that currently, and it's difficult. But I think we'll get there. And the more moderators we have, the more feedback the submitted mashups we'll get. Like for example, we just had Adriana from Booty become a moderator, so that's cool. And you know what? Good for her for not holding any kind of like loyalties or something like that. Like I had a nice chat with her. She's really sweet, and we're both in the mashup scene. That's it. Like we have something in common.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, that's awesome. Now we have that extra perspective, that experience perspective brought to the table.
Yeah, and I guess the only other thing I would say, just and if you have an issue or a problem, you can message me directly. I'm not gonna bite, and I'm not gonna get offended. If there's something you hate about the site or something's broken, please, by all means, message me. It does more good than bad. Instead of going on Facebook or something and just bad mouth.
And if they want to reach you, that info is available on the site.
You could go to matchsticks@gmail.com or find me on Facebook, Twitter. That would be the best.
Perfect, Paul. I really want to thank you for your time, and I definitely want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of your moderation team. And I hope that each of us continues to play a part in helping to not just help with the success of Matchsticks.com, but ultimately build a more belonging sense to the Mashup community.
Thank you, and I really appreciate you being a moderator. I think you bring in something unique, a different perspective, and I would say this is a learning experience for everybody as well. How to communicate without offending people. It's difficult. It's a difficult skill nowadays, but I think we'll get there.
All right. Thank you, Paul, so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.